Hello, everybody. Welcome to Self Care. I'm here with my brother from another mother. This is Reverend Jody Susan. And we have Rajai. Go ahead.
Rajai Kaldani. Hey, how are you, Jody?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm always good when you're around. Always good when you're around.
Yeah,
Um, what?
I heard a noise, but no, wonderful to be here. It's always nice to chit chat with you. We're good friends, and we get into all kinds of topics, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And most recently, the topic has been what water,
Well,
right? And um, I think that you and I have both really leveled up on our understanding of water, and it's very exciting where we're going. I think, but why don't we start with the issues around water? I'm going to let you lead. What do
okay.
you see as the issues around, let's say, tap water? Why don't you go for that?
Well, as most people already know, your tap water's got all kinds of pollutants in it. The city typically will chlorinate for like bacteria, things like that, but there's a ton of chemicals, forever chemicals, pharmaceuticals, like stuff they do not take out, and then the stuff that they put in, that it's actually worse than we could even imagine. Like,
Wait, what are they putting in?
oh,
I'm
good,
gonna be I'm gonna do the layup. Give you the
sure,
basketball to do the layup and dunk it in. There you go. So
sure.
what are they putting in the water? What's the municipality putting in the water?
Well, I mean, they put in fluoride, which is absolutely toxic, and they put in chlorine, but there's also most of the water that's in our drinking water is reclaimed water. So think about water that has already been used by other people, whether it's toilet water to water that people shower
Oh,
with.
reclaimed water. That's a new word.
Yeah, they reclaim water, they clean it up a bit, but there's a lot of like for instance, the pharmaceuticals, right, that people take. People
Hmm.
ingest that kind of stuff and they dump it into the water, but they don't take that out. And it
Well,
comes,
it's interesting. I didn't know that was called reclaimed water. I do know that they do that, right? But I
yeah.
didn't have the languaging, which is a beautiful thing, called reclaimed water. Um, and let's do a little deeper dive into the fluoride, right, which is a neurotoxin,
Right.
and they used to use it as rat poison during World War II.
Yeah.
And now it's inserted into our water supply and calcifies your pineal gland and disconnects you from not only each other but God.
Ab-
Okay, so
Well,
that's
it also affects your bones. So like if you have too much fluoride, because some people can consume, more fluoride than others, right? Depending on where you're at.
well. Let me ask you that. Sorry, I'm going to keep. What else is new? Um, what's too much fluoride for you, or for the what? So how much is too much fluoride?
Well, all of it is bad. However, there's no way to regulate consumption, right? It's almost
Mhm.
like if you're giving someone a drug, a pharmaceutical drug, you give them a dosage based on body weight, health, all kinds of their current conditions, right?
Right, right.
But different people are drinking different amount of water, different amounts of water. Some municipalities may fluoridate more than others,
Yeah.
right? Not only that, but your body weight, right? Like if
Mhm.
you are a younger person, like a child growing up, you're getting in ratio, in respect, much more fluoride per pound or per ounce or whatever that you're getting, right? So it affects you differently than someone maybe who's already fully grown versus someone that's growing, or even like a baby or a fetus.
Well, right, and so it does impair the development of the brain, right?
Mhm.
And and the reason I asked you how much is too much is because I mean you're making the point, right? We don't actually know how much is too much for you, which will be different than too much for me versus too much for maybe my sister, your brother,
Or your
our
grandma,
uncle, or your grandpa, right?
right?
How much is accumulated, in their body over time, which gets stored in your fat cells, and your brain is 70% fat. Um, so, or 60, give or take, whatever. You get it, you get the point, and that's where that's being stored,
Sure.
right?
Well, here's the crazy thing too. So the reason they rationalize it, they say it's good for your teeth. That's
Mm.
why they promote it, right?
Mhm.
But if you get fluoridosis, which is too much fluoride, it will actually create holes in your teeth and
Yeah,
make
little hit.
little pits and holes in your teeth. It'll make your teeth porous. So it's actually detrimental to your teeth.
Yeah, you're actually better off with something I'm not allowed to mention anymore on YouTube.
Oh
But
yeah.
it starts with silver and ends with particles.
Yeah, it's crazy how much
Silver?
how much censorship goes on. Um, but yeah, fluoride is just one of the many different problems. So it's not just the chemicals and the particulates that end up in the water, the pharmaceutical drugs that end up in the water, but also the piping. There's lead, there's cadmium, there's a lot of these pipes, the water pipes around the country are old
Oh,
and
very. Yeah.
and they have stuff growing in them.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a total mess. So people really need to take their water consumption very seriously, and bottled water is not the answer.
Well, why not? I mean, it's clean, it's filtered, right?
Well, it might be filtered, but again, it's the same thing. Oftentimes, what they do is it's the same kind of filtration that municipal water might do,
Hmm.
right? So you're getting more or less tap water,
Hmm.
cleaned up a bit. Sometimes they'll add some stuff for like taste or whatever. But in addition to all that, you're getting the microplastics from the plastic, especially that really soft plastic bottle. And it's been said that your average American is consuming about one credit card worth of
Right.
plastic a month.
Well, I had really amazing news yesterday. So, my research shows that there are 38, 38 contaminants in the average bottle of water.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I was speaking to an expert on water. And I don't think I want to try to, I don't want to botch his name, but his name is Dr. Paul Baratiero.
Mhm.
So I don't want to botch his last name, but Dr. Paul. Okay. And so he's like 38, not even. So then he explains to me what this really looks like.
Mhm.
So they have an assembly line. And in that assembly line, they are creating the bottled water. And let's assume that some of these places are actually filtering it. But when they've done some of the testing, like what I've read on the ewg.org, is that the chemical profile of the water is really in the bottle is no different than the tap. Okay. It's almost identical.
Yeah,
But let's just put that aside for a minute, shall we?
sure.
So he explains to me the process by which they do this. So they take this little piece of plastic, air gets blown through it, which actually constructs, as I understand it, the bottle. Now, I've not seen this, but you can use your imagination, right? So it creates the bottle, and the heat that they use is creating all types of gases with the plastic.
Right.
So what I learned was that then they take the bottle immediately and they fill it with water. And that's where we're getting the contaminants. Yes, you're getting the contaminants when it sits in hot and cold in your car or in your home or wherever. But the instant case is actually during the manufacturing process.
As soon as you put it in, 100%.
Yeah, as soon as you put it in, and he says, I'd have to take a look at my notes, but I think he said like 25,000, like chemicals. Like it was a crazy number.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things they don't check for, right? So we know about the stuff that actually they test for, but there are hundreds and thousands of chemicals, brand new chemicals every day that they're creating.
Right?
We don't have a
Yeah.
real clear idea of how big the scope of it, right? Because there's so many of them that they just don't, if you don't look for something, you're not going to find it.
Right. So So, I mean, you have to do something. Everyone's got to do something
Yeah.
to um, filter the water, right? Um, Now, the other thing, so the options are to filter the whole house, which is really your best option. But
Mm.
we know that if you are in an apartment or in a condo, you can't do that. We know if you're a college student, you can't do that. And some of us just can't afford it.
Yep.
I mean, like that's when I was disabled for 4 years. And the very first thing I did was I filtered my water. You think I was going to install a whole house water filtration system in my apartment where yeah,
Sure.
not happening.
Yeah, that's a big problem, especially in places like California where a lot of people live in apartments. Is the rents are so expensive that most people don't live in a single family home, or a lot of people don't. Let's just say,
Right. I mean, same with Chicago, same with Atlanta, same with all these major cities,
right? Yeah, and
right?
they tend to have the worst kind of water.
Yeah. And then I want to go back to what you're peeing in the toilet. May we?
Sure. Yeah.
So I want to walk people through, like, really visualize your grandma, your grandpa. Now, depending on what country you're viewing this from, this may or may not apply to you because I think that in some countries, grandma and grandpa were smarter than ours, right?
Right.
Like in Asian countries, they're not popping pills like we are, right? The United States consumes 70% of the world's medication.
Yeah.
It's a fairly accurate number. And, you know, so depending on where you're living, this will drive how real it is for you. But grandma and grandpa could be on like a bunch of medications, and then your uncle, you know, he's taken some. Your sister's got the anti-anxiety medication. The other one's got the cholesterol issue, and blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
So they take a poop, they pee, right?
Hmm.
And like you said, that's not filtered out by the municipality.
Yeah.
So what they're putting in the municipality water is two things. One is fluoride,
Mm.
um, supposedly for your teeth, which I understand that that's coming out in the next few, like that's being written out of the agreements.
Hopefully, yeah.
Pray God.
Mm.
Um, And the second thing that they're putting in there is chlorine, which I understand because it's killing off the parasites and the unfriendly bacteria
Yeah.
and things like that. But there are other ways to accomplish this task. Like
Mm.
there's way cheaper, actually, ways to accomplish this task. But presently, it doesn't matter. What matters is what are you consuming now and why is it so hazardous to your health? What happens to people when they're drinking all this stuff? What's their symptoms?
Well, I mean, you look at your average American, they're not feeling well. Most of them are, the levels of autoimmune conditions are skyrocketing. The big C, all people don't feel good. They feel lethargic, brain fog, you name it. We are a sick nation, and the symptoms can vary depending on really many things. But I mean, even like most people are even dehydrated, not drinking enough water, let alone clean water, right? I mean, that's a big issue.
I have that issue. Like I honestly, if I get in an upset, I stop eating and I stop drinking water.
Yeah. But you're committed to drinking water. Not everyone's on the same level as you. A lot of Americans are not, they're drinking sodas, coffee, tea, right? And sprinkling some water here and there, but they're not hydrated. So things like that can lead to low blood pressure, high blood pressure, migraines, you name it.
Cholesterol, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. When I first gotten off of disability, I rented a room from a gentleman. His name was Andy. Okay. And this was back in like 2017. And I had just gotten a job at a chiropractic company.
Mm.
And so we installed my filter, right?
Yeah.
And he was very hesitant about drinking the water, and he had all these flavorings for his water.
Mm.
because people don't drink water because it tastes like crap,
Yes.
right? So I get it.
Right.
So he was like really surprised
Mm.
at how good it tasted.
Hun-
And yeah,
Yeah, clean water tastes actually pretty good. It refreshes you, right? And I've had some water is better than others. I've had water that, so I was working with a company. They had some really good clean water. And literally what surprised me is we were at these events, we would have these events and we would actually sell water and sample water.
mm-hmm.
But I don't even know how many times we had those little kids drink the water and they're like, oh my God, this is tasty water. And they're like, give me more water, give me more water. They're begging for more water. And like the parents are looking at them like, what the hell is going on? You know, you never drink water, but you know, it's refreshing. We were offering high quality, refreshing water that they can feel. They can feel as soon as they drink it.
Yeah, kids have a hard time lying too. We're talking like 2, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, right?
Correct. 100%.
Yeah. So because I was doing these wellness fairs over the summer,
Yeah.
I had the same experience because I was sharing water,
Yeah.
right? And and some of them were scared to drink the water. And I said, trust me, it's actually really good. It's not like what you have at home.
Right. That's saying a lot, you know, the fact that people would be scared just to drink clean filtered water. Like really, like holy smokes, what the hell's wrong with us? But yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize like how important water is. Your blood is 94% water. Your brain is 73% water. Your
Yeah,
bones,
depending on how much you drink.
well, a healthy, hydrated person, right?
Yeah.
Your bones are 22% water. You don't think of bones and water, but literally 22% of your bones are water.
Yeah, and if you didn't have water in your bones, it would just break.
100%. Your muscles are 75% water.
Where are you getting these numbers? Are they just here?
From my website.
Nice.
Cells are up to 85% water. And a lot of it is structured water. It's not all like regular water, like the way we think of water, but you think of like the fourth phase of water, structured water.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me about structured water. Why do I care if my water is structured?
Sure. So your body will naturally structure water, but plants do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a process. So there's something called the fourth phase of water, right? So you have your liquid, gas, and solid, but there's a in between state, right, between liquid and gas. And so, like, you can have a hydrophilic substance surface. When that gets in touch with water, it creates like this plasma water, which has a different qualities to it, and that would be considered like a structured water within the body. The body does that, but like your blood is what was it 73 7 no 94% water. It doesn't look like regular water. It's been converted into what we call blood, right, with different components in it, but the water is has different properties to it.
So, um, you know, there's something I learned yesterday that I'd like to have you. Well, I don't know what your level of knowledge is on this. What do you know about hydrogen water?
Well, I do know that it's very, very beneficial. Hydrogen is the first molecule on the chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
On your chart of elements.
The element chart. Yep.
The
I'm
element.
sharing the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so it's the smallest molecule. It's a gas.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a very it has certain properties. So in terms of like consuming hydrogen, it could act as an antioxidant within the body.
Yeah.
So it could help to scavenge free radicals, neutralize things with a positive charge, because essentially the hydrogen molecule is it needs to be bound. Rarely is it like on its own, right? Like for instance, if you were to create hydrogen water,
Hmm.
through like a bottle or a machine that you can buy,
Yeah.
that hydrogen will not stay in the water. You'll have H2O, but if you're doing H3O, so you're adding an additional hydrogen molecule, that's gonna that's gonna escape the water, get into the air, and combine with other things in the atmosphere. So, but it can do the same thing in your body. So if you take like vitamin C as an example, vitamin C is an antioxidant. Also, similar kind of method here in that what it does is it will donate electrons to positively charged particles within the body, things like free radicals, right? They're going to have a positive charge. And so that negative
We
charge,
want a positive charge, right?
what's that?
We want a positive charge, right?
No, actually, that's a misnomer. But uh, when it comes to this kind of stuff, positive is actually bad and negative is actually good.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
just want to make that distinction. I didn't really think we wanted a positive charge.
sure. But you know what? I mean, it will neutralize things like free radicals, just like vitamin C does, but this is a much more potent antioxidant.
Yeah, and so I learned that there's different levels of hydrogen water, and I sent you that research link yesterday.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody wants to get more information on options for water,
Mm.
you should reach out to either Rajai or I. And Raj, if you put your information in the chat, I'll create a little banner for us.
Okay.
And, you know, so I'm just typing because Rajai is available like at getthefrequency.com.
Yeah.
I know that by heart by now.
Uh,
Do that. Get the frequency. And maybe you can put in your phone number for me.
okay.
Frequency.
So where would I put it? Just under my
In the
name?
chat, in the private chat on the
Oh,
side.
okay.
Yep. And let's see. We'll save that. And so I think that, like, if you want to really know what the best option is for yourself, we have both of us and intentionally work with different companies because they're so oh, look at this, meetraj.com. Is that
Yeah.
new, Raji?
The new domain I have is
Ooh.
guy.com. So essentially what that does is that's a digital business card. You
Yeah.
can, when you go there, you can put in your info. You can connect with me right there, and then you can
Mhm.
download a contact card, and you'll see my different links that I have.
Oh, this is fun.
Mm.
No, I love it when I learn from you, which is, I don't know every day. Okay, so should I include getthefrequency.com as well?
Yeah, go ahead. That'll
In
work.
the, yeah.
That one doesn't
Okay.
have,
And do you want
and that's why.
the number or no?
Yeah, 847
Mm-hmm.
754 8555.
So this is awesome. So I'm going to create the little scroll. So, and so I want to make sure that people have a way to get in touch with us. Great that we can provide all the information, but the truth of the matter is that, how we, how you go about getting clean water into your home is going to be unique to you, your financial situation, your living situation. Do you travel a lot? You have clean water for when you travel, because that's a big deal, right?
Okay.
um I bring my shower head wherever I go, right?
Sure. Absolutely. I love that thing, by the way. I use it myself. It's nice, you're right, because you want to filter that shower water too, because your skin takes in that water as well.
Yeah. So, and it was very interesting what I learned. So, yeah, if you're not using a filter, you are the filter, right?
And
And what's that?
that's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you will absorb a lot of the chemicals in the water that go straight into your bloodstream. Some of those chemicals I learned the other day are too big to go through the skin because of the size.
Mm.
Yet it's still going to make you itchy,
Yeah.
right? So it's still going to sit on your skin and make you itchy, your eyes itch, your skin flake. And then the rest goes into your bloodstream, and that's not a good idea either.
Right.
So, you have to do something. And, I want to talk about the emotions and water, right?
Mm.
Because with all these toxins in the water, um, and you consuming medication against your consent, right?
Mm.
Because you're basically being medicated against your consent.
Without any regulating dosage either.
Yeah, okay. I think my heart sunk on that.
Mm.
So imagine taking a drug that your friend's taking, but you don't have a diagnosis.
Mm.
That's essentially what you're doing every single day. When you take a shower, drink water, and it's not filtered. You're
Yeah.
drinking the medications of every friend and sibling and neighbor in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Well, at least in your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that it's important to make clean water a priority for yourself, because now we've assessed what the problem is happening in the municipalities when it's coming into the house. And we talked about itchy skin and dry hair, but I really want to talk about emotions, depression, anxiety. Anxiety is a big thing. I mean, if you have chemicals in your body, and that can fracture a soul. Should I share what I wrote about in the book?
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm.
Okay. So brace yourself, everybody. I'm going to tell you what so if, most people who follow me know that I'm a medical intuitive,
Mm.
and, and Rajai is also a quantum energy healer as well as I am. And he's amazing, by the way. So if you need a quantum energy healer, you got two.
Right.
So, but let's talk about what God downloaded to me.
Mm.
And so, well, we know about fractured souls. In psychology, it's called disassociation, right? Where a part of the soul fractures off.
Mm.
This happens when we are traumatized. And most people will think like a fight, an
Mm.
argument, a car accident, something of that, or falling down, something of that nature. So I'm here to tell you there's a yes and to that.
Mm.
The way you fracture your soul is exposure to toxic chemicals.
Mm.
Okay. And so a part of you jumps out of body, right? It fractures off. When you have a fracture, it can be taken over by dark energy. It's
Mm.
just how that is. Now, both Raj and I know how to heal fractured souls, but you also have to change your lifestyle by not exposing yourself to these environmental toxins the best that you can. And then, of course, we teach how to heal these fractured souls yourself. We want people to be empowered to do what they need to do. But let's chunk that aside. Psychology already knows that. We're good to go, right?
Right.
Okay, so here comes the mic drop. Boom. Walk-ins.
Mm.
What's a walk-in, right? So we have Akashic records, and we have agreements written in these Akashic records about what we will allow while we're here on Earth. And Akashic records are historical records in the universe.
Mm.
And the Akashic records are like my history. Raj has his own book. I have my own book. Then there's a book for the universe, and yada, 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 yada. So I was exposed to many people where they didn't seem like themselves.
Mm.
And I was like, interesting. And because I recognize frequencies so very well, like like their signature frequencies, signature imprints. I know exactly what everything is. I'm like, that's not that person.
Yeah.
And so I prayed, I just prayed about it and I asked God. And it wasn't like just one prayer. This took a long time to figure out.
Right.
What happens is we have agreements. We have karmic agreements with our family members. This is not dark energy, anybody. This is a family member who's passed. Okay. So let's say it's me. I'll use myself an example. I'm traumatized. I'm in a situation. I cannot face what I'm seeing, and I need to take a mental vacation. So my spiritual body jumps out of body, goes to another timeline or dimension to go hang out and sort through the trauma that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
Okay. And meanwhile, the agreement written in my Akashic records is let's say my mom comes in and takes over for me. Her past, it's a soul who's passed. So it could be a mom, an aunt, a grandmother, some ancestor comes in, takes over your physical body. Their spirit comes into your physical body. Your spirit leaves. So walk out, walk in. So first problem is, if your spirit is not connected to your physical body, you cannot receive your gifts from the divine. Period. That's just how that works. The second thing is that person who is now basically just a body bag with somebody else's spirit in it, you don't know who they are. They don't remember the conversations that you're having. So you think that you've been gaslit, or they have dementia, or they have Alzheimer's, or they have split personality, like pick one, right? Bipolar, schizophrenia. It's not what's happening. What's happening is their spirit left the physical body. They don't actually really have recollection because they weren't there. Now, let's tie it back to water. It's getting tied back to water because there's so many chemicals in the water. It literally traumatizes the physical and emotional and spiritual body.
Right.
The body has to be your temple. You can't normalize poison. You can't normalize consuming poison anymore.
Which we've done.
Which we have done.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a challenge to have clean water, clean air, clean food, all that stuff. I mean, but do the best you can, right? Do the best you can. Do something than nothing. But maybe start small and then just keep moving, in a direction. I've been filtering my water for well over a decade, but I'm actually getting into different types of water now. Now I'm looking at ionized, reduced, microclustered water, hydrogen water, hydrogen rich water, things like that, right? So these things are actually they're kind of useful tools that you can use, right, to really supercharge your healing, how you feel, upregulating the self-healing mechanisms in your body, because not all water is the same. There's most people, when they drink regular water, let's just say bottled water. I don't know about you, but I've had cases where I'll drink water and I'll feel still dehydrated and I feel bloated. I'm like, why am I still parched? I've been drinking water. I feel dehydrated and bloated, and it's not getting into my cell. The water is not going where it needs to go.
Why is it not getting into your cells?
It's probably pollutant, like it's polluted. My cells are probably like not, the respiration on the cells aren't fully opened up because they got crap in them too, right? So think of like your body. Your body has a waste management system, and if that gets backed up, right, you need respiration at the cell level. If you're not getting proper respiration, you're not getting the hydration.
Right? And really, if those cells are inflamed, How
100%.
are they going to absorb the water? I'm sharing with more places.
Yeah. So there's lots of reasons, but yeah, I mean, toxicity within the body can lead to a lot of this kind of stuff. And that's why something like reduced microclustered water, just it's such tiny water particles, it gets absorbed right into, and it actually will go right through your cells, your cell walls. It's a much tinier molecule of water.
Yeah, and so I think that, and what I'm learning now is, like how healing water can be,
Mhm.
and how simplified healing can be.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to talk in like complete detail about it because I'm gonna just own this.
Mm.
I'm a novice right now. I got a lesson yesterday, and I now know that even understanding alkaline water is not what we think it is,
Mm.
right?
Right.
I've always thought that there was kind of a big hype on alkaline water, meaning people are spending a lot of money. Say, oh, it's alkaline, it's alkaline. Well, the truth of the matter is, alkaline water is simply toxic-free water.
Mm.
And you take the toxins out, and the pH goes up.
Well, so water base level is neutral. It's about it's slightly alkaline, just barely, but it's slightly. It's like a 7 point something.
You
Which
mean for the tap?
no, like clean water should be roughly around 7ish.
So my clean water, when I measured it, was between 7.8 and 8.2 when I took it out of the tap. And this was in Schaumburg, Illinois. I'm in Georgia now, but I measured it, and I have it as a video.
Sure.
And what I said was that cancer can't live in an alkaline state.
Mm. Yeah.
It's false. It's false. Cancer can.
Sure. I mean, cancer is very resilient and can live in different types of environments for sure. There's certain types of disease cells that flourish in XYZ environment and other ones that live in that kind of environment, right? So it's about balance, but
Yeah,
the key is number one, you should be doing something, right?
I'm with you.
Doing nothing is not an option. There's good, better, and great and best, and there's no let's call it a silver bullet that's like a perfect solution. But you definitely should be doing something to mitigate some of the risk, and your body can help you with that, right? But if
Yeah.
you help the body along, and then you take a little bit off, the workload off the body to try to regulate all that stuff within the body. If you can do it before it gets into the body, it's going to make it much easier on your body.
So what about I'm just going to kind of like touch the surface on this with the hydrogen water. So I learned the other day that hydrogen, our stomach, our intestines make hydrogen. Were you aware of that?
I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like we're naturally supposed to do that.
Mm.
And it's also very healing.
Yeah.
That's what makes us a master healing machine. Yet, because we have all these interferences, our body's not operating like it needs to operate.
It's
Does that
over.
make sense?
It's
Yeah.
overload.
It's what?
Overload.
Yeah, toxic overload, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You gunk up a system, it doesn't function optimally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a gunked up system, you might be running at 50%, 40%, 30%, you know? But yeah, your body is a self-healing machine and can self-heal if given the right opportunity and the right resources. If it has what it needs, it can do the work, and it has the energy to do it, right? That's the other part of it, right? If you don't have the energy to do it, it could be there. Like for instance, like you could have a condition called like malabsorption, right?
Yes.
where you're taking in the nutrients, but you're not assimilating and absorbing that stuff.
It's a real issue. I've experienced it multiple times. And here's the other thing. When you're having all these toxins, I finally figured out, I mean, literally this been peeling this onion. So I'm not a very good methylator. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're right. What we're talking about is the methylation process, the ability to absorb our nutrients. And if you're not a good methylator, and you can't absorb the nutrients, and your white blood cells are going to, not be able to do their job. Right. And so I had to find a way to activate my white blood cells, which I have a great, way to boost the immune system now. So if anybody's looking for immune health, they should reach out to me. I have a product that shifted and I did a blood test, right? So it took my white blood cells, made them completely, which I was completely inactive. They were just like not doing anything. This is when I was in Vegas, December 15th or 16th. I had the test, got the product to use to activate my immune system. And within 18 days, my white blood cells were completely active. So,
yeah, I mean, there are solutions out there, and that's the thing. I mean, you're actively looking for them, right?
I'm committed to health in a way that's unrecognizable, and I know you are too.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely one of the most committed people I've come across when it comes to wellness, right? Health and wellness and what you put in your body. You're very, very, very strict about what you put in your body.
I have a pristine diet. So the fact that I had a processing problem, right, and I still couldn't methylate, I had to really start looking at things. And this hydrogen water, let's just say, if you've got a situation that you think is, I don't know, let's say in a stage that is not going to be very beneficial to you, maybe stage 4 something, I'm going to tell you, you should reach out to us because we can just bury that for you. We bury the stage 4 and take you back to baseline.
Baseline is good. Yeah, and hydrogen can be very, very powerful for that kind of thing. And that's why I love, I'm saying it really kind of gaining popularity. And it could be very useful in your journey to heal. And there's some devices where people actually can breathe the hydrogen. I've seen that do amazing stuff.
I saw that at the Redefining Medicine conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard some incredible stories with that. I drink super high hydrogen rich water, right? And it's a game changer. It's definitely different than just drinking regular water, or let's call it clean tap water, where it's just been filtered through, standard run-of-the-mill filters that you can buy, wherever.
Yeah, and you really you don't want to be buying your filters like at the general store, right? Yeah, you really want to do the research. We have done the research, and I will tell you that the man I met the other day has a website just dedicated just to all the research on hydrogen water. And I think there's like over 2,000 studies about what it's doing. And, neither one of us are allowed to share what it's doing, on a show like this, but privately we can share with you, show you the research, let you make a decision on your own about what's important to you and whether or not it's worth it to you. And I will tell you that it's affordable. All of it's affordable. We have something for everybody's financial situation. Would you agree? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And look, nothing's really out of reach, right? If you want something, you can have it. Just it's a decision that you make.
Well, so and that's the other. So first of all, thank you, because first and foremost, I'm a mindset coach,
right?
And one of the things that I did when I was disabled, I didn't have money for a water filter. Okay, so I got rid of my TV. I got meaning not the TV set itself, but I got rid of my cable, and I put on an antenna. Now I still had internet, and we didn't have at that time streaming. Okay. So basically, I was not watching TV and I did reading instead, and I found a different way and I saved myself money. Right. So here I am finding a way for me, looks different for you, I'm sure,
Mhm.
to afford what I needed to reclaim my health. And
Yeah.
so the question that I'll pose to the listeners is, what are you willing to sacrifice to have the best version of you?
Mm.
Right. And
Yeah.
it might be going out and getting that Starbucks coffee,
Mm.
instead of paying $5 or $4 twice a day to get that coffee or buy the bottled water. Honestly, if you're buying bottled water, that alone will fund your water filter,
Right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you save money here, and you get it there, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, bottled water is expensive. If you look at what people actually pay for water, bottled water per ounce, it's actually kind of pricey over time, right? But we tend to not look at it that way. We look at a big purchase up front. We don't look, well, how does that amortize over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right?
Well, I amortized it over a month. And what I learned was, because I did the financial analysis,
Right.
basically, if you're spending $4, I think it was $4.17 a week on bottled water, you can afford a filter.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so it's not out of your reach. Um, and I don't know, what else do you want to share with people about water? Is there something? Because I'd like to talk about reverse osmosis and minerals. Do you want to do that?
Sure, we can talk about.
Okay. Or is there something else you want to talk about? Because I asked you and then I gave you an answer.
Oh, it's all good. No, yeah. Look, the water is a mysterious substance. Think about it. I mean, if you really, really consider what it is, there's nothing like it on the planet. As a matter of fact, all the water that ever existed on the planet is still here. It's the same water, just being kind of reprocessed, so to speak,
Reclaimed.
reclaimed, but in a natural, clean way.
A natural, clean way.
Right? Nature has its own process for that kind of thing.
Okay,
But
so let me talk about the minerals. Let's do that. Tell
sure.
me about minerals.
Well, I mean, minerals are extremely important for your body, much
Mhm.
more important than the vitamins. So, like a lot of people are always talking about vitamins, well, minerals are exponentially more important than your vitamins. And minerals allow your cells to function properly on a cellular level. As a matter of fact, it's what gives your cells the charge. It's what gives anything a charge. As an example, I have a I have a machine that runs electricity through the water, but
Mhm.
it needs minerals for the water to be electrified. It cannot be without the minerals. Like distilled water, you can't run a charge through that. But if you have minerals in the water, then that charge can, it'll actually transfer that
Yeah,
energy.
and minerals are key for your brain health, right?
It's for everything. Yeah, I mean, if you are deficient on a mineral level, that's going to cause all kinds of problems. I mean, literally, your heart can stop based on your mineral balance. Like if you think of potassium, magnesium, right? If you don't have the right balance,
Hmm.
I mean, that could stop your heart right there.
Okay. Can I take it to the next level on minerals?
Sure.
Okay. Let's talk spiritual warfare, shall
Mm,
we?
100%. Yeah.
And minerals.
Okay.
So let's go back to World War II.
Hmm.
And this is in the book that's coming out soon. By the way, everybody who was following me or knows that I'm publishing the book, Emotional Healing, Toxic Free Living. It did not get published because God had a different plan. It's really not my book; it's His book. Okay, so I just surrendered.
All right.
Okay, I get it. But it's coming out soon because we filled the gap that God was looking for. um, or we're in the process of doing that. So, but let's go back to spiritual warfare. And this is in the book. So back in World War II, they used glyphosate to decalcify or demineralize pipes,
Mm.
right? And so then, you know, they realized what that would do, and they took it and they sprayed it all over our food and water supply, right? So now you are being demineralized. Okay.
Mm,
Now you're like, well, Jody, didn't you say about spiritual warfare? Right. And so why is that spiritual warfare? So if you don't have minerals, your brain's not, you know, connecting the way it should, your heart's not connecting the way it should, and then you're not connecting to each other
mm,
and you're not connecting to God.
mm,
Now, I'm not saying you can't connect to God. I'm just saying the signal's not as strong.
mm,
And the more I got off of all the toxins and brought in real food and minerals into my cells, the stronger my connection to God, to source, I became. I mean, like I'm a clear channel like all day long, right? I mean, do I not like be? Am I not like a walking, breathing antenna, right?
right. All day.
Okay, so going back again to spiritual warfare, don't think that they didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah.
So they know how the body works and they know that, I mean, if you don't have the minerals, you're not going to function. Okay. So it's, to me, this has been spiritual warfare from the get go. Now, let me go back to water and
Mm,
minerals. I will tell you, up until yesterday, I was not a fan of reverse osmosis because it took all the minerals out.
mm,
Okay. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to their path on how they want to get there. Okay. So y'all can have your own opinion. But what I learned was with water, when they do the water, the minerals that we get in water is from the dirt. And it's not as bioavailable to us. And don't ask me the percentages because I'm still getting that.
mm,
Okay. As when we have minerals that come from plants or our food supply. It's more bioavailable because of the processing that the dirt goes with the plant and goes with the animal, like let's say your organic organ meats, right? And I'm not a scientist. I mean, I have science background. I wouldn't characterize myself as a scientist. I can, you know, more of a spiritual person, right? So I will leave those stats to the experts. Okay. But when I realized that and what we can do, what I'm trying to say is if RO is your only way to go, okay, do it. Get yourself clean water, get your minerals in, take Celtic sea salt, eat organ meats. I actually take organ meats, I put them in a blender.
mm.
That's kind of gross. But I put them in a blender and then I mix it up with my hamburger meat. And so I don't have to taste the difference.
That's a great idea. Yeah, a lot
Oh,
of people have a
yeah.
hard time with organ meats. But you know, we used to eat organ meats on a consistent basis. I mean, it used to not be we would throw away the organ meats. Those were like the prized meats.
My dad
Yeah.
used, okay, some people may have to cover your eyes or your ears. My dad used to eat tongue.
Mm.
And it was, I think yeah. And so it was on the plate, and my mom did not like change it. So I'm like, I'm having trauma every time I see that on the plate, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is find a way.
Mm.
You know, ancient nutrition with Dr. Josh Axe, he has a great formula for organic organ meat capsules.
Mm.
Um, I do use his.
Mm.
But now that I'm also adding organ meats to my beef, I don't take as much. I'm getting the minerals. I actually take trace minerals and I pour it into my smoothie. I pour it into my water. I give it to my birds, you know, like all of that. So
Yeah.
what do you do to get minerals in?
So obviously diet, but I also take. I have organ meat capsules. I take from a different company. I can't remember the name of the company, but it's high quality stuff.
You always have high quality everything.
Yeah,
So
and it's expensive. It's not like cheap, but I'd rather do that than like eating liver all the time. So, and you don't need to eat it like every day. Even if you do it once a week, once every 2 weeks, it's gonna go a long ways versus nothing, right? Um, and then I take supplementation. I do actually put minerals back into my water because I've been using RO for a long time, and then I put minerals back into the water. I have these mineral rocks that I put into a gravity filter, and so I let it sit
the
there.
gravity filter I sell. Yes.
The
Yes.
one that you sell, right? So I have that, but I have rocks in the bottom of it. These mineral rocks. They're designed to just release minerals into the water. Um,
Which
and
you're going to get that to me. I know, right?
yeah, I will. I forgot to get that to you, but
That's okay.
but so yeah, and the water tastes great. The minerals will change the pH too, so the minerals will typically help with the pH. It'll raise the pH.
Mm-hmm.
So if
And
you
it tastes good.
yeah.
Tastes good. So, what else do you want people? We're nearing the end of the show. What else do you want people to know?
Well, I would say learn about water as much as you can. Um, it's a vital to your survival. I mean, you cannot survive on this planet without water. And if you're getting clean water, it's going to be more beneficial to you than getting crappy, polluted, chemical laden water, right? So you want to filter. Again, we don't have a perfect solution. There is no perfect solution
Doesn't exist.
right, but you can certainly take steps to improve the quality of the water that you have in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I look at water, really, I mean, I look at it like a one big giant computer, quite frankly.
How? That?
It's picking up and retaining information of anything and everything it gets in contact with,
Yeah, because it has a memory.
including your emotions. It's malleable. It's a malleable computer.
Yeah, all day.
It
We'll have more shows on this, you and I.
yeah.
And I'm also bringing on two experts who are really going to talk the science. And I'm actually going to ask you to join us on those shows.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that would just be like a fun time.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. All right. So people, reach out to us if you need anything. The numbers are below 847-738-0242 for Rev Jody, or you can email me at jody@susanessentials.com or go to the website www.susanessentials.com. And Rajai, go ahead.
Getthefrequency.com or meet Rajai, RAJAI.com. That will give you my phone number, my email, everything you need to get a hold of me.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.